Small business war stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes. Hey, lovers of small business and good stories in general. Welcome to episode 81 of Small Business War Stories. And you might ask yourself, what do rock climbers and people who knit for fun or for a living have in common? Well, they both really have to take care of their hands. And that is where this week's guest comes in. And I spoke today in Santa Fe, New Mexico, to Daven Lee. And she started a company called Love and Leche. And it's a really cool company where she takes a pretty different approach to making hand lotions. She makes these things called lotion bars, which I hadn't come across before, but they're really cool. It's basically a bar that kind of melts into a lotion for your hands. And she originally started making them for these niche markets, and now she's expanding and growing. But yeah, she has a really cool way to approach things. And it was cool to learn what it's like to start a business in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This episode is a part of the Soul of America tour. And as such, it is brought to you by FreshBooks. And FreshBooks is a small business accounting and bookkeeping software. So if you want to focus more on running your business, on actually doing the things that you want to do, instead of keeping track of every invoice and every little financial thing that has to happen for your business to be successful, you need FreshBooks. They help you as a small business keep track of all the things. So once it's tax season or when you need to actually run your books to figure out how the business is doing, you'll have accurate information. Go check them out at freshbooks.com. Go to freshbooks.com/war stories and enter Small Business War Stories as a place where you heard about them. And like every episode of Small Business War Stories, this one is brought to you by Proven. Proven is a really, really powerful and inexpensive hiring tool for small businesses. It's a company I started. Please do go check it out at proven.com and check out the blog at blog.proven.com. There's lots of free resources there for small businesses, including this podcast. We pride ourselves in really working with thousands of small businesses nationwide and want to help you succeed, kick ass. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode, number 81, with Daven Lee of Love and Leche in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And we are live here in beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico. And this afternoon, I have the pleasure to sit down with Daven Lee. And Daven is the CEO and founder of Love and Leche. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. So glad to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And just walking in here, there's this incredibly a magical, overpowering smell and fragrance of the soaps you're making here. But maybe give me a quick rundown. How did you start this company, and what does it mean to you?
Well, the company was a bit of a surprise. It started out with me living on a nice piece of property outside of town where I had room to have goats and chickens and a beehive. And we have an amazing farmer's market here. It's quite large now. We have our own building. It's in the center of town. Back then it was still in a parking lot, but it was still pretty amazing. And there were amazing farm-based products that were at the farmer's market that were inspiring to make, to think about making, to think about selling. And so with my animals, I had too much milk for the family, too much honey. What could I make out of this and try selling at the market? So that turned into making soap, and then that turned into making lotion bars, which are actually my key product, and that's what's on the tables here that you're seeing.
Lotion bar. So for the uninitiated,
Yes.
and what is a lotion bar?
So a lotion bar, it's the main ingredients is beeswax, and I use local beeswax. No longer my own beeswax, but from a local beekeeper. And then I add oils, almond oil and coconut oil. And it's like a bar of soap, so it looks like a bar. You hold it in your hands. The warmth of your hand starts to melt the oils, and you rub it, and it moisturizes your hands. It's oils and beeswax.
Wow, that's amazing. Actually, coconut oil you can use that to moisturize your skin.
Oh, you can use it straight, absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, that's what I recently had a large tattoo done, and like my artist recommended that I use coconut oil exclusively as
really
a healing
good stuff.
ointment. Yeah, it's great stuff.
And I also, the almond oil I use, I infuse with calendula flowers, which is an herb that's just an all-around beautiful skin healing herb.
Is that the fragrance we're getting now?
What you're smelling are the essential oils that I use. So one of the things that makes my body care products unique is that I don't use any synthetic perfumes or chemical fragrances. Those tend to be the things that people have reactions to if they have a reaction, and they tend to be very intense and kind of cloying.
Okay.
But these are plant-based oils, right from the lavender plant or right from lemongrass. So they're all natural, and that's what you're smelling.
Very cool. Very cool. I interviewed another business called Dryland Wilds in Albuquerque. Are you familiar with them?
I'm not.
They
no.
do. They gather. They forage herbs from the desert, and then they use them to make soaps and things like
amazing.
that. Yeah. You would all really get along.
Yeah, that would
I'll
be.
have to make that introduction.
Thank you. I'd love that.
That's cool. So, one of the things that you talk about a lot on your web presence is like your love of Mother Nature. What does that mean to you, and how does that permeate through what you do here as a company?
Oh my gosh, it means so many things. The love of Mother Nature. Well, when I started out making goat milk soap, so that comes from the mama goat after she's had her baby. So there's this whole sense of the cycles of life and of mothering and of the new babies in the spring and the goat that's just freshened with milk. So that's a lovely rhythm of nature that I love to connect with. The fact that I work with other growers and beekeepers, these are not, they don't produce products that can just be available on demand. They are available within the rhythms of nature and the cycles of the seasons. And that to me is very real. And of course, our listeners can't see this, but we have this incredibly gorgeous landscape here in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
You do.
And so nature is all around us here, even though we live in a little city. And natural products are good for your skin. And there are so many, body care products are so laden with chemicals and petroleum-derived products and all kinds of bizarre ingredients that you would never want to put on your skin.
You can't even pronounce them.
You can't pronounce them. You don't know what they are. And so it feels so good to me to go back to really basic ingredients and to just feel, people can't believe how moisturizing the lotion bar is, and it's the beeswax. It's very simple. So it's fun to be in partnership with nature because nature is offering us so many beautiful things.
Yeah.
So I'm also a Qigong practitioner and a Taoist.
What is that? What is Qigong? I know what
Qigong
Taoist
is
means.
kind of related to Tai Chi a little bit.
Okay.
It's a meditative form of movement that works with energy, but it's within the Taoist system, and Taoism is very much about cycles and energy and
With Tao,
nature.
it literally means the road.
Yes.
The way.
And the way, exactly. And the sort of essence that permeates everything. And so through my Qigong practice, I have this deep sense of we are reflections of nature as well. Our own patterns, the things that we respond to, our own rhythms. So nature has a lot of good meanings for me.
I love that. Let's talk about a little bit about what that means and how you source your ingredients. So early on, you said that when you started, how long have you been in this space here?
I've just been in this space since May.
Okay.
But
So
I've been in
about
business
6 months or so.
Yeah, but I've been in business it'll be 13 years in the spring.
And you were mostly doing this out of your home before.
I was completely doing it out of my home.
Wow, that's impressive. We'll talk about that transition in a minute. But I
Yeah.
want to talk to you about ingredients.
Yes.
And you said originally you were using your own beeswax.
Yeah.
You're no longer doing that. I presume, do you still have bees or not?
I actually don't keep bees anymore. I'm
Okay.
still involved with the goats.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So how do you source your ingredients, and how do you get the ingredients that communicate this, these values that you live?
Well, the number one thing is to find people in the community that can provide the ingredients. And, I'm not getting tropical oils like coconut oil locally, but I consider these business partnerships. The beekeeper, Steve Wall of Buck and Bee Honey, who's been providing my beeswax for actually pretty early on in my business. I was using honey originally in my soap, and that was coming from my bees, but I didn't produce enough beeswax for the lotion bars. So I've been working with him almost since the beginning.
Okay.
And, I know that he doesn't use antibiotics with his bees, and, he really takes beautiful care of his bees, and they're all over this region. They're not just in one place. So we're also getting something that's really from the land, the way the bees work the plants. And then I've worked with different small farmers in this area, in northern New Mexico, to grow the calendula for me. And it's just beautiful. They bring me this fresh harvest of calendula, and it goes right in the oils and infuses the oils.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Cool. And what I'm hearing is your products don't have that many ingredients, right?
No, they're very simple. I kind of love that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And they're all things that you can kind of see where they came from.
Yeah, exactly. They make sense. It's not hard to understand.
Okay.
I mean, the soap is a little magical because the soap involves a chemical reaction with lye and with the oils. So there's a little bit more mystery to the soap. Yeah,
we had a soap. So I practiced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. One of my teammates has a great company called Zen Soap in Austin, Texas. And he went through in the episode the entire process of how he makes soap and lye and all that. He's like, basically, if you're a soap maker, you will at some point get burned. Like, that's not a question of whether, it's when. And we did cover that.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Only recently I somehow managed to get some in my mouth.
Oh God, that sounds terrible. What did you do?
I rinsed out my mouth and all this stuff, and I ended up
vinegar
just
with a base, right?
You know what?
Oh, no,
I think
I'm sorry.
I just
That's
used water.
a base. So you're supposed to use an acid, which goes the other way.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
But I ended up with a little bit of a sore throat because I think it just burned the back of my throat just a little bit.
Jesus.
I don't mind it on my skin because you start to feel it right away and then you just wash it off.
Yeah.
So I haven't had a big problem with the lye, but you have to be careful.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, what happens during that chemical reaction is, the molecules completely change. So the lye is completely transformed by the chemical reaction that takes place with, in my case, with the olive oil and the coconut oil that I use, the fats. So there's no trace of lye left in the soap.
Right.
Otherwise, we couldn't use it.
Right. That makes sense.
So it goes from
and
being,
to be clear, every soap maker ever has used lye or some form.
Yeah,
of lye.
you have to it's a saponification process.
Yeah.
So sometimes people say, I don't use lye in my soap, and that's probably because they've bought a base that they're remelting and using,
and whoever made the base used the lye.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I won't get into the Fight Club movie too much, but they talk about
please
that there.
don't.
Yeah, we did get into it. We did get into it in that episode, but I think the vibe of this one's a little different.
It's very different.
We'll
Thank
continue
you.
to go forward. Let's talk about the niche audiences that you guys have built.
Oh, yeah.
So you have. It was really striking because you have a niche audience of knitters,
right?
And you have a niche audience of rock climbers and maybe others.
Outdoor folks.
Yeah, how did that all come about? What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I was a knitter for years, and I noticed that there was already a kind of lotion bar product that was in the knitting market. And it's interesting because, when you're looking for a market, I think a lot of people think the ideal is to find a market where a product like yours doesn't exist. But for me, like, lotion bars are a little novel. So they actually take a little bit of educating to sell. My business started at the Santa Fe Farmers Market for years before I started doing mail order or wholesale. And the Santa Fe Farmers Market is a very hands-on sales process. I talk to every single customer. I hand every single one of them a lotion bar. I explain to every single one of them what it is while they're rubbing it, while they're smelling it, while they're feeling it. And that's when so they're having a total experience of understanding what this product is, kind of subliminally, as well as me explaining it to them. And then it makes sense, and they understand it, and they get excited about it, and they feel how it works. But if I'm trying to sell something remotely where I'm not having that opportunity, there's this challenge. How do I communicate what a novel kind of product it is? And so knowing that there was already a lotion bar in the market for knitters told me that knitters like using it, and they were already educated as to the idea of the product, and I could do it better, or I could do it more beautifully, or I could do it in a totally different way that would distinguish me.
Got it.
Now, the other thing about the knitting market that's kind of brilliant is, knitting, what do people do? They knit in circles with other knitters. And so as the digital age has come about, knitters have taken that idea and they're just brilliant in the social media world. They're super active on Instagram. They're super active on Facebook. There is this entire social media platform just for knitters that created all these amazing, innovative things. So that alone kind of captures almost the entire audience of knitters. So, as a market to reach out to with very limited resources, you can kind of drop in to these huge centers and then things just spread from there.
Very cool.
Yeah.
But you no longer knit.
No.
No, you just ran out of time with all the things you're doing.
At this point, yeah. My business takes up so much time that the last thing I want to do in my free time is sit down, do something that takes concentration and
But
focus.
you connect with a lot of people in those communities, and those people then help you spread that message that you're saying.
Absolutely. Okay. I mean, the thing is that I'm familiar with the market because I was a knitter. So
that makes sense.
And they have a single trade organization, so I'm able to go to a single trade show and hit everybody.
Wow.
Yeah, including all the publications.
Do you advertise
and
on knitting magazines and things like that?
I don't. I have a great small amazing marketing company. I'm going to give them a shout out, Stitchcraft Marketing.
Okay.
And so I work with bloggers a lot. Blogger reviews are great. Again, it's kind of a word of mouth community. They want to hear from somebody they feel like they know who's recommending something. I mean, we all do, but that's especially true for knitters. So that's kind of how I spend my money, my marketing money in that market is through blogger reviews and then really keeping my social media stuff going and then going to these trade shows. And I get a lot of, I've got a couple of reviews coming out this winter in knitting magazines. When I first showed up at the first trade show, I was in 5 or 6 knitting magazines in one season.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty great.
That is awesome. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have
the climbers.
Rock climbers. All right, so let's. This is a first for Small Business War Stories, going from knitters to rock climbers. So
okay,
how
great.
does that work?
Well, the thing is that the truth is there are many, many markets where my lotion bar would be successful, and definitely anybody who's using their hands in an intense way, this is a brilliant product for that. There's a lot of rock climbing around here, so just by virtue of being in Santa Fe, I've had people come up to me. I had a man many years ago say, I took your lotion bar, down the Grand Canyon. It's the only thing that saved my hands. I'm like, oh my God, can I just take your picture? Can we make a poster? You're my guy market, you know? And then since then, I've had other people who are climbers who are just devoted to my product, and they're like, it's the best thing around.
Do you also go to climbing conventions?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
But I did have a review in Outside Magazine last year.
Nice, congratulations.
Thank you, in the Buyer's Guide. And, that's locally published. So it wasn't as difficult to get in as it might have been if I was someplace else.
Outside Magazine is based in Santa Fe?
It is. It's based in Santa Fe. So I know people who work there and photographers and stuff like that. And I was able to actually even talk to one of the man named Sam, who I think he was a product reviewer, and he would even do things for television on behalf of Outside Magazine reviewing products.
Yeah.
I went and met with him and talked to him about branding and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it's a really nice resource to have here. And that's a really small market for me because I haven't been able to have the funds to really go after it, but it's available and it's a natural fit.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
Let's talk about that transition from having this running out of your house. Did you have a garage or something like that, or a barn?
I had this huge screened-in porch room that I worked in all year round, and then I had space in my house and just a lot of little nooks and crannies and closets and carports and things like that. It was kind of amazing. It actually worked really well.
Yeah, for a long time.
For a long time.
Yeah. why make this transition, and how has that happened? What has that meant to now? You have a facility here in a building called
Dragonstone Studios.
Dragonstone Studios.
Owned by George R.R. Martin.
Of Game of Thrones fame.
Game of Thrones fame.
And
also
local Santa Fe resident.
Yeah, thank you, George.
Yeah, thanks, George. So let's talk about that transition.
Well, it's something I've thought about for years, but then the actual transition came about super fast.
Okay.
So I mentioned that I do Qigong as well, and I'm also training as a practitioner in biodynamic craniosacral therapy, which we don't have to talk about now.
Okay.
But I needed to make a space for that practice. And all of a sudden, I just thought, I want to bring that practice into my house and give Love and Leche a separate space. However, it's also been part of a trajectory of separating myself from Love and Leche more and more. At some point, I would love to be able to sell this business.
Okay.
There's a limit to how far I can take it. So either having a partner who knows how to take it farther, or somebody who really wants to purchase it and take it to its full potential. And so in order to sell a business, it has to be able to stand on its own and not just be about me.
Right.
So definitely having a separate space was a really exciting step to seeing it as a separate entity. And I have to tell you that, so if I wasn't here, we'd be in my home right now doing the interview.
Right.
And I would have mixed feelings about my pride for my business, and also a little embarrassment about the cat hair and the middle of everything, doing this in the middle of everything else. And when I brought my business in here and started setting it up, which was pretty exciting, because just having a vision of what a functional workspace would be and really having a big open empty space in which to lay that out, all of a sudden my business seemed legitimate in a whole different way.
Okay.
Just very exciting. And then the other piece, which is super practical, is just having people work for me. I've had people work for me and they've had to come into my home, and I've had to kind of, organize my life around when they're coming in. And, it works when you need to make it work, but to be able to have somebody come and go here and not have it disrupt my life in my house is kind of great.
So you have other people working here as well?
I do.
Okay. How many other folks do you have?
Well, I like to have 2 people working for me. I have somebody who does my sales at the farmer's market, and actually, this is your specialty, but I have to hire somebody now to help me with production and fulfillment. I have a lovely woman who's had to leave the job for a little while, and Christmas is coming, so I need to bring somebody in to do that.
Got it.
But she helped me
You should post your job to prove it.
Okay. She helped me make the transition, and she initiated the space, in terms of making product and shipping out the packages and making it a working space.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must feel good.
It feels great.
Yeah.
I love my tables, the one we're using right now.
These are great tables.
These are
I
amazing.
was looking at them earlier.
And it's things like this that make you happy when you move into a business space.
How far is your home?
Like 2 blocks away.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
You just walk.
I walked over. I ride my bike a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. Now, as you continue to do this, if you're able to...
I'm sorry, I just thought of one more thing that small business owners need to hear, which is just the separation of the business from your personal life.
Yep.
So even though sometimes it makes it a little crazy, like, I could be doing this while I'm cooking dinner, it is so nice to have a clearer boundary between work and home.
Yeah, absolutely. I started working at a co-working space recently for that same reason.
Yeah.
Because it gives you that separation.
And I feel like I'm a little more productive. Like, okay, you've got 2 hours. I'm going to take 2 hours to work at the space. I'm going to get all this done. And then I'm going to go home and I'm going to think about something else for a while. So it's really nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you're thinking about, either finding a partner or selling the business. I mean, it seems like you're doing really well here, and as you continue to hire people, maybe what's your vision? Like, what do you want to do? I mean, is it possible that you're still running this 10 years from now, or is it something that you're playing it by ear and by feel, and you're pursuing your other things? How are you feeling about that?
I mean, I'm somebody that has a lot of interests, which I think you can relate to.
Yes. Something that my friends won't let me forget.
Yeah, so that means, and I actually have kids. I mean, my kids are growing up. My daughter's in college, but my son's still home. But I'm not somebody who wants to work 60 or 75 hours a week to grow this business. I have other things I want to put my time into too. And to me, this is one of the challenges of having a small business, because especially if you're producing a product, because I'm competing with huge companies that produce skin cream and all kinds of stuff, natural body care products. And so the amount of resources, financial, time-wise, that it takes to kind of compete on that level are quite daunting, really.
Yeah.
And if that isn't going to be my number one focus, it's kind of hard to really bring it to the next level, I think.
So maybe we'll find through this podcast a business partner for you to.
That would be great. This product, the thing about the lotion bars, I think one of the biggest markets in this country are women in their 50s and 60s. These are women that have their own disposable income. And my product is that's my target audience. Yeah. They love my stuff.
That's awesome. So how much is one of these bars?
They're $15 for a lotion bar. The other huge market is the LOHAS market, Lifestyles of Health and Sustainability. These are the yoga studios, the water bottles, the yoga mats, the people who hike on the weekends. I mean, this product is perfect for that market. So it has so much great potential.
That's awesome.
And what we didn't mention, since this isn't a visual interview, is that I worked with local sculptors to create my lotion bars and soaps are poured into molds. So they have a beautiful design on them that are really...
What's the design?
Well, I have one my standard one is a sunflower with a bee right in the middle. And then I have one that I make just for knitters that has 2 sheep on it.
There you go.
And then the soaps have a goat mother and baby. It's really sweet.
That is awesome.
And I have others that I've used in the past that I bring in for limited editions. I should have showed you before the interview, but the two little sleeping cats.
You'll give me a tour afterwards.
I'll give you the tour.
Sounds good to me.
But you can go to my website and see the images.
So you made a transition as well, going from only selling directly on farmers markets to selling wholesale and going through stockists. What have you learned in that transition? What was that like?
Well, it was a really smart transition to make. The farmers market is a seasonable business. Has a short season. And actually, the other transition I made around the same time was to have a website and do web sales, which is also a natural next step. Wholesale is about quantity, and it's also about reaching beyond the people that I can speak to directly, not just in terms of the end customer, but even my wholesale customers, the retailers out there. I have to really look much farther and wider for retailers. It required that I create branding, that I brand my products, which is actually a process that I love. So packaging and message and, what's the package that the retailer receives? How is it going to look in the store? How does it represent the product? Is it working for them on their end? Messaging, and then supporting that with the website and with the videos on the website and all that, and the design of the website, etc. Yeah.
So what is there a tension there, because you're selling direct? You sell directly, correct?
On the website, yeah.
And you also have stockists and people, wholesalers, right? Mm-hmm. So is there ever a tension there where you have people come to you and do
that it's competitive, you mean? No, because I'm selling it at the same price that the local folks are selling it. And at this point, we live in the world of Amazon. So also, I also think there's nothing like, if knitters are going to their local knitting store and they see something there, it's so much easier to buy it on the spot when you fall in love with it. Yeah. So, no, I feel like first of all, there are many places that don't sell my products. So my website has to fill that in. But I'm not trying to...
Who are these people that don't sell your product?
I know,
What's wrong
it's
with
crazy,
them?
Isn't it? There's something else I wanted to say about the wholesale business. I might have to come back to it.
Yeah, how do you find your stockists?
Well, most of my wholesale customers are knitting stores.
Okay.
However, the Santa Fe Farmers Market, we're a pretty famous market, and we do have quite a presence in Santa Fe. And people come here from all over the world. And so the Santa Fe Farmers Market has been one of the best places for me to meet potential.
When is it?
It's every Saturday year-round. And this time of year, we also do it, or the summer through November 1st, we have a Tuesday market. And there's actually a small Wednesday market and a Southside market, but those are our main markets.
I missed those, and I'm heading back to
That's
Austin,
really a shame that you missed it.
I'll next time.
Okay, that sounds good.
Sounds good. What is, for people who are considering starting their business and are thinking about, they're either struggling with something in their business or they're considering, taking the leap of faith and starting their business, what is the number one piece of advice you would give them based on your experience?
Yeah, I thought about this. Honestly, the number one piece of advice is don't just look at the bottom line. Because, I heard a story that a lot of times people who, you could maybe tell me if this is true, people who go and get their degree in business never want to start a business because the numbers are crazy. It's really hard to make a business work. I don't know. I guess that isn't true for you.
Well, yeah, I don't think, other than listening to stories, I'm not much of a business expert. It took me 7 years or so for my business to start working. So
yeah, right.
Don't listen to me.
Well, but I love planning and I love having a business plan. But you also have to leave room for all the magic that can happen that you can't actually predict. And also, in addition to the bottom line, you have to understand that your business is going to give you a whole different kind of lifestyle and allow you, which obviously it has to be something that you're interested in or that you want. So for example, for me, being able to raise my kids and run my business and that kind of flexibility that I have has been brilliant for me. Or being able to, this is one of my identities in the community. I'm a very visible presence at the Santa Fe Farmers Market. Stores all over Santa Fe carry my product. So it's a really beautiful presence to have. That's something you can't put a dollar value on. So the beautiful thing about running your own business is that it's going to have benefits that aren't going to show up on the bottom line. Okay. And so just know, of course, challenges and struggles and stress and all that stuff too. But
so let's talk about that. Can you think of a time when things went really wrong?
Yesterday?
Yeah. What happened yesterday?
No, not yesterday. Yeah, I can tell you a time it happened in January. It was kind of shocking. So, my lead product is the lotion bar, and the lotion bars come in tins that are custom made for me. There's one on the table right behind you if you want to look at it.
Okay.
And that was a huge investment for me as a business to be able to have those custom tins made. And I just remember the thing I was going to say about going into a wholesale business, which is taking on business debt. That was a moment when I actually started taking on funding. So I have to get funding to make those tins. I have to order 25,000 of them at a time. It's a big, big deal. And those tins arrived. So this is my third order of those tins, but it was a new color scheme. I was changing up the branding a little bit. So they were due to arrive January 1st. I was going to my first show of this season, the second or third week in January. And the tins and I was running out of the old tins. So I was about to have no packaging. The tins arrive. I open the box. The color is wrong. It's wrong. It's too pale. I'd been back and forth with the proof. I thought we understood what the color was. It was wrong. And I kind of went into a little bit of shock, thinking that these would be unusable. And it's not a process where they can reprint them and have them in 2 weeks. It's takes at least 2 months for them to bring them around again. All the photography I was planning to do with the new tins, everything kind of, it sounds like a small thing now, but it was kind of like everything was hinging on this. I was also getting ready to kind of launch my new brand colors. And, when you're trying to market your business, you always have to come up with new things to market. So this was going to be this great, all kinds of things were going to stem on this. And I had a lot of money tied into it, and they were all paid for. So they had all my money. I had no leverage over what they would do. So, I don't know, it was a big shock at the time. I was kind of like, this is the end of my business.
How did you handle it?
What does this look like? Well, what I ended up doing is, the other thing I should say about why it was so upsetting is that it felt like I felt really like a David up against a Goliath. That the company that makes these tins, they make tins for, I don't know, Pokemon products and stuff. Like, they have huge customers. And I immediately felt like I'm not going to be significant enough for them to actually fix this problem with me. And they're, and this is the kind of thing where if I don't have packaging for my number one product, I can't sell it. Like, that's kind of, I don't have any margin to fall back on. Well, what I ended up doing is kind of deciding to hold my nose and just use the tins. And because a lot of people were like, they're not that bad. I know they don't look like what you wanted, but they're not that bad. I'm like, shit. And the other thing is that I care a lot about branding and color. And so to have worked so hard designing something and have something not be right, it's like, what's the point then?
Yep.
It was a little maddening. So anyway, I went forward with the tins that I had. And sadly, instead of kind of shouting it from the rooftops, look at my great new colors, isn't this exciting? It freshens everything up. I just didn't say anything. And nobody else said anything either. And so it was almost like nobody even noticed that I changed the colors. And nobody complained about it. And I've been using them, and I just kind of settled with the company on sort of some kind of settlement where they're paying me a little bit of money and I'm going away.
So you're using a different supplier for your tins?
So I will have to find a different supplier.
Okay.
But it's kind of a big deal because so my tins are, they're debossed. They have a raised surface. It's pretty cute.
Yeah.
And they're also really specific size. It's not a standard measurement. And so I had to have, I invested money to create a custom die.
Yeah.
And now I have to start that process over again.
Yeah.
So these are the kinds of things that we small businesses
Welcome to the game,
help
right?
with, yeah.
Exactly. Now, your tin here is a beautiful package. It says in the back here, 100% made in New Mexico, hand poured, all natural.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to be a part of the Santa Fe community here? We've talked a lot about all the folks that are here and the farmers market and things like that. How is that important to you? And
oh my goodness. Well, local, I love this community, and local means I consider my business a relationship-based business. To me, the pleasure of my business is who I know and the connections that I have with them and how we can support each other and how we can grow together. So I love to be able to represent my community with my product and to have it be associated with this beautiful place that I love living in. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Where can people find your product? So if anybody's interested in your lotion bars and your soap, what is your website and what are your social media properties?
Yeah, so loveandleche.com, LOVEANDLECHE. Leche means milk, for those of you that don't speak Spanish. Loveandleche.com. I'm at Love and Leche on Instagram and Love and Leche on Facebook. It's pretty easy to find me.
That is awesome. And if you're a knitter, you can also go to premium knitting stores and find
Yes, go to your local knitting store. And if they don't carry them, ask them to carry my products.
There you go. Daven Lee, it's been very inspiring and great to sit down with you. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations on your success and best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to Small Business War Stories. If you enjoy the show, share it with a friend, or you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or on our blog at blog.proven.com. If you have an idea for us, we'd love to hear it. Please email us at podcast@proven.com. See you next time. Small Business War Stories. Small businesses are the soul of America. And this is where they tell their stories. I am your host, Pablo Fuentes.